people's memories of what someone said, and nobody wrote it down when the guy was alive. They wrote it down 20 years after he died. And then, of course, all the scientific stuff. In my opinion, the Quran is reliable. You know, I mean, this book over here, I take a look at that, and it's like I find problems with that. So, you know, it's not so much, you know, that I'm believing my atheism. I'm just not believing in a religion. Did I even come close to answering your question?
You did.
Okay.
I just want to basically. This is where the discussion might get a little bit complex and strange. Now, my thesis is actually in regards to the default position that it really is. And I've been working on this for quite some time, and I just want to ask you this. We sort of see questions and kind of argue at a certain point. Now, first I want to ask you, what is your definition of the default position? What is a default position?
Well, first of all, the default position is, number one, what you're pretty much brought up into. For example, if I remember correctly from your videos, you're married, and I'm pretty sure you have a kid, if I remember right. So more than likely, your children, if you have them, if you're going to have them, are going to be brought up in the Muslim faith. Therefore, for your children, the default position would be, it's like, hey, you know, I believe what my parents believe. Now, for me, my default position was basically not so much atheist, but really non-theist. We basically didn't have any. You know, it's like we just didn't go to church. You know, my grandparents one time they sent me a children's study Bible, not children's Bible, but the illustrated Bible story, which is basically just the stories in Genesis with some pictures and stuff like that. And, I got it for Christmas, I read it, I put it up on a bookshelf. To me, it was no different than reading Cat in the Hat. So, I mean, we didn't really have, and then there are people who are brought up to be Buddhists. And so the default position, what I mean when I say that, is it's whatever you're born into. And for a lot of people, they never grow out of it. They grow up, believing their religion, they're in love because, I mean, they're always like, hey, we're this, we're that, we're Christians, we're Muslims, whatever. And for a lot of them, they just grow up in this, and then they have children, they teach their children in this, and it's your beliefs because that's the way it's always been. That's what you grew up into, that's what your children are going to become. And not a lot of people take the time to take a critical look at their beliefs to find out, number one, is my position right? Is my position wrong? And what about these guys over here that say that they're right? Not a lot of people take the time to do that kind of critical analysis.
Yeah. Yeah, my excuse me. From what I typically hear is that explanation. By the way, I actually don't have a wife or a son.
Oh,
that was a hypothetical.
Oh, it's a hypothetical?
My future wife, my future.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I was worried. I am actually worried about my future family.
Yeah, because I've only watched about 10 of your videos. I'm still watching the rest of them. And of course I vote botted every single one of them. By the way, just to let you know. Yay. Oh, by the way, I want to interrupt you. DawahFilms did get hit with a lot of negative votes, especially on some of his videos after, who. If you guys, even if you don't like the guy, if you guys can take the time, maybe leave a couple of thumbs up to get the videos back up and rating. It would because nobody wants to have that happen to their videos. So if you could just take a few minutes, just go through some of the videos, give some thumbs up, just to be nice.
Thanks, man. But from what I've been hearing among many atheists, is that the default position is basically a lack of belief until of course, unless the belief can be shown to be true or justified. So basically, a lack of belief until justified. Now, I have a problem with this because I don't see how a default position can be a lack of something. And maybe this is not your understanding because you had stated that default position is whatever you're born into, whatever you grow up with. So maybe you don't have this understanding. And so I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on your understanding then, if that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is if that is the case, the default position, and what makes it irrational then? If, for instance, somebody were to were to grow up with a specific belief and never be shown any sort of criticism that would basically not be powerful enough to change their mind, what would make them irrational? And at the same time, this goes for atheism. If you grew up not having a religion, how would this make you? What would make you irrational or rational if you still were an atheist? I don't know if that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, can somebody translate that question into English? Because I'm so sorry. It's like HappyCabbie, no, like the big words. Try one more time.
I'm sorry. Your default position is where you start off, but I think what you are trying to say is that is basically lack of belief. Is this correct?
No, your default position is basically the religious beliefs of your parents. For your future children, their default position will be Islam. For a Christian, their default position would be Christianity. For an atheist, their children would be, it's whatever beliefs your parents have, because, I mean, obviously, you're not going to take your children to a fundamentalist Baptist church and say, here's my kid, I'll be back, to pick him up after Sunday school. You're going to take your children to a mosque and teach them about the Quran and stuff like that, right? So for the children, the default position would be the beliefs of the parents, or lack beliefs thereof.
Okay. I just wanted to note, I mean, I'm pretty sure you noticed a lot of atheists are disagreeing with you on that. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
That's okay.
But from my understanding, that's typically their understanding that I'm referring to. So I'm going to skip that question, actually, because you have a different understanding. You can discuss it with them if you'd like, and maybe they can change their mind. I don't know, whatever.
Now, for example, I know
mind.
that Richard Dawkins, for example, has stated this, like, there's no such thing as a Christian child, there's no such thing as a Muslim child, and stuff like that. And I can see what he means, because, but the thing is, children just want to, especially at a young age, they just want to please their parents. The children, they don't know any better. They don't know, especially now in Phoenix, for example, in Phoenix where I am, we run into Muslims all the time. But if you're in Chicken Scratch, Arkansas, you've never seen a Muslim. All you see, I mean, you might run into a Methodist if you're lucky, but pretty much everybody else is going to be Baptist. If the only time you're going to see a Muslim is if you drive somewhere but the Chicken Scratch, Arkansas, they're not there. You're surrounded by that. So so the children, they just grow up, they go to church, and I mean they're just told what to believe, and that's what I'm talking about when I say the default position. So is anybody in the comments saying that I'm getting this wrong? I'm not understanding what I'm wrong. Somebody tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everybody thinks I'm full of shit. It's like Dawa has pwned HappyCabbie.
No. The chat room is pwned HappyCabbie.
Yes, that's okay.
While I sit back and let the atheists fight amongst
Default
themselves.
position is skepticism. I disagree strongly with that. I did, because there's no 5-year-old kid going to Sunday school class saying, it's like, Daddy, can you explain to me, how the Grand Canyon was formed? 5-year-old children don't ask these questions. High school children would ask